So we just got a brand new Pokemon for Kitakami once again. This time through an incredible reveal trailer, we are introduced to Poltchageist, a vengeful spirit inhabiting a tea container, a fitting Pokemon for Kitakami with plenty of awesome inspiration from matcha tea to kintsugi. However, what's most exciting to me is the reveal that this is not an evolution to any familiar Pokemon. Wait, what? Let's talk about it. That's right, despite what its name and appearance might have you believe, this is not a regional form or evolution of Poltchageist or Sinistea. The official Pokemon website tells us that, quote, though ecologically similar to Sinistea, it's a completely different Pokemon. Meanwhile, the awesome short promotional video, which tells the traditional tale of this Pokemon's origins, shows us explicitly that this Pokemon was created in the Kitakami region, and developed its personalities and power independently to anything to do with Poltchageist all the way in Galar. So this is more of a regional fake, otherwise known as a convergent evolution, the same class of Pokemon as Toedscool or Wiglet. But that's weird, isn't it? The precedent set for regional fakes thus far is that these Pokemon seem to bear resemblances to previous Pokemon morphologically, but are completely independent in terms of real-life biology and taxonomy. Wiglet is a fish Pokemon that lives in the water and on sandbanks, whereas Diglett is a mammalian Pokemon that lives in subterranean environments. They both have the same powers, digging tunnels, and fill the same ecological niche in their environment, and they likely feed on the same types of things in the food chain, small invertebrate Pokemon. Thus, they develop similar body plans to thrive in their environments, despite those environments being very different. Same deal with Tentacruel and Toedscool, just with a much more drastic biological separation, one being a fungus and one being a jellyfish. But what about Poltchageist and its Galarian tea friends? Well, 3 issues. Unlike the past regional fakes, this new Pokemon breaks the mold, or rather, teapot, in several ways. 1. The typing. As I just said, these regional fakes are typically the Pokemon representative of convergent evolution, where animals with similar traits become so without a common ancestor. Thus, naturally, if you were to assign a typing to them as Pokemon, they would likely be different. A hummingbird moth would be bug, whereas a hummingbird would be flying, or normal flying. Wiglet the eel is water, whereas Diglett the mole is ground. Meanwhile, Poltchageist works more similarly to the original batch of Alolan regional variants. This new Pokemon simply gains a new type, Grass, on top of Poltchageist's pure Ghost original type. So this reinforces our second point, niche. With Pokemon's view of convergence, we've typically gone drastically different environments for these similar Pokemon to underscore that the idea they may live in similar manners but in completely different areas, where they couldn't possibly be related to one another. Take, for example, the forest-dwelling fungus that just happens to bear resemblance to the deep-sea jelly. But with Poltchageist and Poltchageist, we've got 2 urban-dwelling, mischief-making, teapot-inhabiting ghost types. They could easily share the exact same environment, and very well may in certain parts of the Pokemon world. Heck, even its name, Poltchageist, is a giveaway that this trend is being broken. This Pokemon morphologically bears resemblance to Sinistea, yet its name is a riff on Poltchageist, the evolved form, whereas the prior fakes were simply one-to-one riffs with a single corresponding Pokemon. So what gives? Well, that name difference, alongside everything else I said before that, tells me that Pokemon is restructuring how we should view these regional fakes. No longer are they just Pokemon that bear physical resemblance to one another and maybe some power overlap, but have differences in every other way. No, these are now Pokemon that can share typings, live in the same environments, even have similar names, personalities, and powers. The only difference still being that they're not related. We still don't know why the painted face of Poltchageist and the ceramic face of Sinistea are so incredibly similar, especially when one is based on a more conventional Western idea of a possessed object, whereas one is a tsukumogami, the Japanese concept of a living, inanimate household object, but I digress. Now these regional fakes are a lot more similar to real-life convergent evolution, where it's not just animals with similar body plans or characteristics that live in vastly different places, but more like the much more common type in the real world, where just like Sinistea and Poltchageist, these animals have a lot of overlap. Think of a dolphin and a shark, or a flying lizard and a squirrel. Ever heard of carcinization? Do you know how many animals out there are called crabs in the sea and on the beaches, and how few of them are actually that closely related? So I see it as a very exciting thing that we've just gotten our very first Pokemon that leans into this more realistic view of convergent evolution. Or did we? What does this new precedent possibly say about many old Pokemon that have been long-time criticisms within the Pokedex due to their uncanny similarities, but lack of evolutionary connection, like Machamp and Conkeldurr, or Audino and Chansey? Better yet, what about all the Pikachu clones, who share electric cheek pouches, friendly personalities, and even habitats in most regions? Are these retroactively past examples of convergent Pokemon? And can Sinistea and Poltchageist be considered among them in this category? Who knows? Does this category even exist? After all, as far as I can tell, unlike regional variants or regional forms, regional fakes or convergent Pokemon are just fan terms, so maybe there's no category at all. So I don't have a definitive answer. It's at least tea for thought. It certainly opens up the door for Fakemon designers, including myself, who have ideas for Fakemon that share quite a lot with past Pokemon, but perhaps weren't different enough. Ever since the introduction of Wiglet, I've long had an idea for a convergent evolution to Emolga based on a flying dragon lizard, which I may have to bring to life now. So what do you think of Poltchageist in this potentially new and exciting direction for how we view certain Pokemon categories and design tropes? Let me know down below. Thanks to my patrons, especially Guardian patron Dayton Wehse. Thanks for watching, and I will see you next time for more content.